Red Challenge Flag Picks.
Girl.
I didn't hear his took there. Can we try that again?
Something in my voice, in my throat there.
Ready? Let's do it again. This time with his took.
With
Ready?
feeling.
Here we go.
Red Challenge Flag Picks.
I threw a little
Ah, we're-
Christina Aguilera in there
The
for you.
soul.
Yeah, maybe too much.
Okay.
But anyway.
You could argue that any would be too much.
Ah.
touche.
Xtina roasted.
All right, here we go. Super Bowl 20 redo. No Tony Eason in this one. Only Tom Brady. Bad news for you, Chicago Bears loyalists. And more bad news. Maybe the Miami Dolphins kind of exposed you a little bit, or at least Mitchell Trubisky, or at minimum this. The Chicago Bears 2018 playoff prospects in a rugged division with the Vikings and the Packers. And I keep saying it. I'm on board with those Detroit Lions. I was on board in August, and I remain there, 2-3. But look at who they beat. They beat the Packers and they beat the Patriots. Two pretty impressive victories there on the season, right?
Yeah.
Losing at home to the Jets.
That's an
unimpressive loss.
That doesn't fit the narrative.
Sometimes it happens.
Here we go. Let's begin here. The Patriots, the Bears, Claybon. Choose.
The Chicago Bears.
Whoa! He did it!
Love
He's
it.
catching red
Challenge
challenge
me.
flags. You're taking the Bears too?
No, I was really
Challenge
tempted
me.
to, and I love the fact that he's taking
Then
it.
throw the flag, boy.
I don't know how this works.
You throw the flag at me when
If
I'm
you-
wrong.
But I don't know that you are. I don't think he is wrong.
Oh, so then you are taking.
I'm taking the safe pick, but I think the
No, you don't get to have it both ways.
here, take my flag.
Yes!
No, you don't give it to him. You throw it at him. You pelt him with it.
Hit me.
Do it.
Boom.
Do
Yes.
it right. would you
I want
please?
it. I want it.
Come on, Spaghetti. What's going on?
I thought it was pretty funny.
All right.
Dave.
Is Took here to give us a very tepid, apparently, reasoning for why the New England Patriots are going to go into Chicago and win this one.
Look, I think the Patriots win this game because this is the kind of game the Patriots win. Blah, blah, blah. We've been here a million times before. I want the Bears to win this game. That's who I want to see come victorious. But if I'm going to make picks that I'm going to be held accountable for, then I'm going New England.
Well, I mean, the thing that you would say in simple terms is that, of course, the Patriots, the kryptonite for Tom Brady is not just a pass rush, but an inside pass rush, and whether or not Khalil Mack can get there from the outside and Akeem Hicks and company can get there from the inside. If they can heat up 12, he doesn't like that.
I think the concern for me is the Bears that we saw against the Dolphins, where you see Khalil Mack get injured early on. He only has one tackle in that game, no pressure to speak of really on the opposing quarterback. And yet again, if there's a team that knows how to scheme and game plan for someone else, it's the Patriots, and that's where I have some questions.
Well, like Willie was talking about too, is yes, we can give the credit to Patrick Mahomes and company for the rally on Sunday night, down double digits, and to get back into that game was striking. But maybe this is yet another example of the Patriots not having the pieces on defense. I mean, that's not just 2018 stuff. That's been true more often than not over the last 6-8 years.
Yeah, especially on the Tyreek Hill 75-yard touchdown. Understand that it is Tyreek Hill. That was still bad defense.
It really
They were
was.
positioned poorly. The angles were poor.
Yeah, he didn't hit him in stride or anything. He caught it, came down to his feet, and then ran away from everybody.
When everybody in the building knew who you had to cover, the one guy you have to make positive doesn't beat you.
And that wasn't the only defensive lapse. There were 3 or 4 touchdowns that Patrick Mahomes left on the board against the Patriots.
Yep.
I don't believe that this is the typical Belichick Patriots defense.
Well, we it's funny because we do keep calling it typical, but what's typical, like I say, is not especially good. Is the bottom line with his defenses.
And throughout this regime, they've been able to win in numerous different ways. But I'm watching Tom Brady break tackles and have 4-yard touchdown runs, and I just don't think that Tom Brady going on the road to Chicago, they're willing to. Or Tom himself is going to be willing to do what it takes to beat this team in October when their sights, their eyes are set on January and February. And I'm picking the Bears because I believe the Bears will win.
Well, I think Jordan Howard is their best chance, too, there. I think he could really bang on that defense a little bit. But also, a neat little bit of history. I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but the Tom Brady, after they almost go undefeated, the following season they open with the Chiefs in Foxborough. Bernard Pollard hits Brady in the knee. He's done, and then they create the Brady rule about keeping the quarterbacks a little safer. Now on Sunday Night Football, what happens? A Chief gets Tom Brady wrapped up, but because of the Tom Brady rule, figures I better let him go. I don't want to get a penalty on this. It all is full circle there. Right?
All comes back around.
It's a good little bit of history there, right, Spaghetti?
I agree. Yeah, thanks
Thank
for
you.
that.
Who do you got?
In the game?
Yeah.
Patriots.
As opposed to what? In the game. Yeah.
Yeah, Patriots are going to win.
Okay. I think this is, you know what, some really interesting games that we're going to be picking here for you. I think of all the games, if I could only watch one this weekend, this would be the one for me. It's the Saints in the Charm City. It's the Ravens playing the best defense by far and away. 4.5 points better than the second best defense in points allowed so far in 2018. Hands full, though, as Drew Brees rolls into town. Mark Istook, Saints, Ravens.
Give me the home team Ravens.
All right, Claybon. Studio 66 running red today.
His own sound effect as well. Pew!
Fine. Go ahead,
Hit me with
Claybon.
red challenge flag.
Tell us why the Saints are going to get it done.
The Saints put pressure on you, not just defensively, which Marcus Davenport is helping. Somebody being on the other side of Cam has really helped this Saints pass rush. But the pressure from Drew Brees, Mark Ingram's back. Alvin Kamara's able to settle into his role. They didn't even need to use Kamara that much in the last win. I don't see, especially considering the problems that the Ravens have had running the football, I don't see Joe Flacco hoisting this team on his shoulders and carrying them to as many points as they're going to need to knock off Drew Brees and company.
Claybon, I love where you're going with this. As Willie said there, yes, defenses in the second half of 2018, as they typically do, will rise up and be a little more stout than what we've seen so far to this point in the season. And something that we've seen in just about every Ravens season is at some point, maybe not every season this doesn't happen, but the OC gets in there and he gets seduced by Flacco's arm. And you know what? Maybe this is the year we try to ride that right arm instead of pounding it on the ground. And about halfway through the season, there's enough evidence to say, oh, yeah, we can't do that with Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco can't win games for us week in and week out. This is a faulty premise. And perhaps this is the week where that starts to come undone. This Flacco, it deserves another $100 million from somebody, starts to unwind a little bit here. I'm with you on that, Claybon.
Thanks, Dave.
I'm not all the way on board the Flaconaissance yet, but this is a team that has
that.
been sneaky on offense, and you go up in a game that could potentially be a shootout. If it comes down to one of the defenses getting a stop over the other ones, give me Baltimore's at home.
Flaconaissance. By the way, I am taking the Ravens in this one, but I do wonder if, I mean, it's going to happen in the next few weeks is that Flacco is going to look like Flacco.
People get lulled into believing like, oh, this is a legit.
You know what? Hey, this Ravens team
I'm not
pretty
going to
good.
say
Joe
he's
Flacco
elite, but
All right, let's do the Carolina Panthers, the Philadelphia Eagles, two teams that are going to be there in December, whether you like it or not. Cam Newton having another very nice year, although it's unorthodox statistically. It is another strong season going there. And the Eagles look like they're starting to put things together after what we saw last Thursday night. Patrick Claybon, it's the Eagles hosting the Panthers. Choose.
The defending Super Bowl champs will lose at home.
Whoa!
More.
Did you somehow get some tip on what my picks were and you're just doing this to be a contrarian? I hope so.
Yeah, you know me, Dave. if I detest anything, it's my own opinion.
You're taking the Eagles as well as Took?
I'm taking the Eagles, yeah.
All right, explain yourself.
Well, one, Eagles are at home in this game. We saw them last Thursday. Again, kind of get back to form. And for me, that's been the question mark all year long with this Philly team is are they nursing a Super Bowl hangover, or can they be the same surprising week in, week out team that they were in 2017? I've become a big fan of Doug Peterson over the past year, but it was obvious how much they missed Carson Wentz. You can't just plug and play Nick Foles and even though you won a Super Bowl with him last year, expect that that's going to be your ticket to ride. And I feel like they have been finding their rhythm offensively and defensively. We know they've got the pieces on defense, but just didn't seem like they've been hitting on all cylinders until last week, and I think more of the same, especially after a long layoff, missing the week.
I think that they are going to go into a little run here, and they're going to look really good. But the thing to watch out for, not to be a pessimist, is you remember. I mean, it's one of those old cliches, but this one happens to be true, that you do as you get into December start to run the ball more. They have no Jay Ajayi, no LeGarrette Blount. I don't know that they have the guy on the roster right now that's going to be able to do that, because those guys really were banging on teams in the third and fourth quarters of big games and holding on to leads for the Eagles. So I don't know if they're built to really make a deep playoff run this year.
Flashing back to that Thursday night game a year ago where Carson Wentz was getting bombarded by Panthers blitzes over and over again repeatedly. Thomas Davis now back, his second game back. As you mentioned, Dave, who is actually going to run the ball for this Philadelphia Eagles? And
it's not a small matter, but you can be duped into thinking it isn't if you watch September football. Mm-hmm. Well, we do. No, these teams are winning. They don't have a running back. Yeah, it will matter as the season wears on.
It's sunny and 70 outside.
Right.
It's easy to
especially
throw the ball
when
around the yard.
when you consider what pass protection means from the running back position against the team that we have on tape that will be willing to blitz early and often against Carson Wentz, and that was a healthy Carson Wentz. I'm going with the protection theory here and going with Carolina.
Well, with that loaded pass rush that the Eagles bring against number one Superman, that's worthwhile to watch this game just for that alone.